Hello everyone. Hi CRM Stage. It's a big pleasure to be together with you again, and I'm happy that still under this difficult situation in the war, we can continue learning and growing together, and I'm sure we are making a huge impact to our victory in this war with Russia. So hope everybody is safe and your family is doing okay. And so happy that we can continue doing good things. And I'll try to do my best to give you some information about flow and trigger today so I can give back what I know to you and hope it will give you some value to you. So, okay, let's go and share my screen now and start our presentation. Okay. So today our topic is record triggered flows vs Apex triggers. So actually, do we need both? And let's find out the answer. So my name is Oleh Mykytyn. I'm 11 times Salesforce certified solution architect. So I'm a group leader of Salesforce community in Lviv. I founded Salesforce Saturday in Lviv. Also leading Salesforce community Slack in Ukraine and the YouTube channel where we stream all our community meetups and put any valuable recording there. I also used to be MVP for year 20 and 21. And my current position is Salesforce Architect and Strategic Relationship Director at RedTech. And if you need any information from me or like answer any questions related to the topic, feel free to follow me in Twitter or just send me email with this contact details. Okay, so what is today's agenda? So we will talk about flow. We will figure out what is flow, why do we like flow. We will talk about record triggered flow, and I will show you my top benefits of this type of the flow. We will also talk a bit about Apex trigger and what is that, why do we like it. At the end, we will do some comparison between record triggered flow and Apex trigger. And in the end, I will show you a small demo, depend on time, on a flow, so you will see how it works. And yes, and we will have small QA. Let's go. So I always like to know who is my audience is. It's a bit difficult to do it with a virtual session, but still, like I would like to know who likes Flow and who likes Apex. So I just posted a small poll in our chat, so in Slack. So if you attended this session, just vote who likes what. It would be nice to see the result. And let's go to the slide, what is flow? So in general, flow is an automation that is configured by declarative tools in Salesforce, and it's with a structure of a flow chart. So as you see on a screenshot, how it looks in Salesforce. So why do we need that flow? Flow can actually automate a lot of business processes by collecting some data and doing some changes to this data and to do some automation actions based on result of this data. So it can do a lot of effective things in Salesforce inside or even in external systems. Okay. And here is my question, why do we like flow? So I just put my list of what I think that flow is awesome. So first of all, I would say it doesn't require developer skills. That is really cool. You just still need some analytic skills. You need to understand how processes works and other things, but you don't really need to have skills to write code, and it simplifies a lot of things. I really like how flow is well structured, and you can see visualization of it. You can understand from just looking into flowchart what it's doing and where it's going. It also depends on a flowchart, but it's much easier for less technical people to understand what is inside. And it's definitely easier to build and maintain flow. So I would say it's like much faster development of it. It doesn't require a unit test, still yet doesn't require. I hope actually it would be the right decision to build some unit tests for flow in future, but still it saves time and it's just faster. So it also depends on a challenge. Sometimes it's easier to do it in code, but anyway, like most of the challenges will be just easier and faster to do it in a flow. So I would also say like things like email sending, like chatter post or custom notification, it takes less effort for us just to develop it in flow because we have pre-built actions we can use there, and it's just like few point and clicks and you have your solution in place. So that's pretty awesome. That's why I have this list. But if you have more, just be sure you post it in our chat and I will review it after the session. Okay, let's go to this next slide. And next slide is a record triggered flow. This is actually a type of the flow that we are going to discuss today. And so first of all, what is that? What is this type of flow? And record trigger flow is an auto-launched flow. It runs automatically when you do some change to your data. So for example, if you create a record or you just update or delete it, this trigger will be started. And in this record trigger flow, you can capture this change and then you can do any like data transformation during it. So you can do it on before or you can do on after. So you can, for example, change current record with some extra fields that you want to populate on a background. Or maybe you want to send email when this record was updated or updated, and you can just do it on after update or after insert. So this helps us to do some background automation and just like set some useful things for our users. Okay, let's go next. And here is my top benefits of record trigger flow. So first thing is that I would say like flow on before, it's very easy, very handy and quickly to implement. So it's still very limited and later I will have some limits that I will show it to you, but still like it's very easy just to create a flow. And if you want to update same record, just like to add extra field, like dependent on what input of the record is, you can just quickly create this flow, add this condition, and that's it, it's done. Second thing that I really like is a scheduled pass. What I really like the most that you can really define the time of that offset. So it can be like from minutes till like days, hours, weeks, months, and that's really cool because sometimes you need to send email or do some action based on specific time after this record was updated. For example, when I don't know, when deal was closed, you need to send some confirmation email in 1 hour, and you can do it with this scheduled pass, and it's pretty awesome. The next one is flow debugger. I really like how they built a debugger inside of a flow. You can just do some inline changes and then you can immediately check it in debugger. So you don't need even to go out like from that flow. You have in one place, in one page, and that's really cool because you can just change some criteria and test it immediately. Also, you can run it under different users. That is pretty useful because sometimes you need to test functionality for different profiles or something like that, and it saves time. It saves time. Next thing is about recursion control. So what I really like is that on after update, Flow is controlling if they need to call this flow again and if recursion will be started or not. So basically, Flow is handling recursion itself. and it's really, really great. One more thing that we have in Flow, that it's version control. So version control, you can see like up to 50 different versions of Flow, and you can see like who changed the flow, when it was changed, what version was changed when, and then if you need to come back to your previous version, you can easily do it. So that's really great. And you have it like in one place, so you don't need to do any backups or something like that. So yes, and this last thing, but not least, it's outbound messages like to external systems, and it's really great to do integration with external systems because it doesn't require any like development of code, and it's easy just to create outbound message and you can send data to external servers, and it's pretty easy to use, and it's quite fast to implement. It's still limited in sometimes, but most of the challenges it will help us to resolve and get the right solution. So this is my top benefits of the record triggered flows. Hope you like it. If you have more, please share them and I will review it. And always great to hear more thoughts about this. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And here is actually a question. So we saw how awesome is Flow. How do you think? Do we still need Apex Trigger, or are we good with what we have in the Flow? And now I think it's the right time to talk about the trigger and see what is that and why do we need it. So what is a trigger? It's an Apex script that executes before or after data manipulation language. So basically on the same create, delete, or update of data. And it enables performing custom actions before or after event to record in Salesforce, such as insertion, updates, or deletion. So it's basically all kind of events to database. But what is good, the trigger can capture like all type of events. Comparison to record trigger flow. We'll talk about this a bit later. And how does it work? So users, it used to perform tasks that can be done by point and clicks. So mostly you can do everything in Apex Trigger that it's supported by Apex, and it's including different SOQL or DML or even calling some custom methods or like APIs and other things. So Apex Trigger is a really powerful tool, and it can do a lot of our challenges. So let's go next, and let's talk about why do we like Apex. So first of all, I'm thinking that Apex is awesome too, and I always like how coding is looks. So I would say first for me, it's that code development is looking cool. I hope you agree with me, and it's really nice, but it's more like a joke. So based on OOP principles, so I think it's a good think about Apex because it's really like powerful language, and we can use a lot of principles in our code that helps us to do a lot of like really really big big solutions and like huge implementations. And what is really great that it keeps and we have a lot of standard methods and pre-built frameworks for Apex triggers and for Apex itself. So it's really great that we can use them. Also, from my perspective, it's easier to manipulate with data, and we can use different type of collections like list, set, map, and it's really great because it helps us to compare and and collect data in the right places, then we can work with those collections much easier. We can also use different approaches like wrapper class. I had my session before about wrapper class, so it's also article on Salesforce ban and recorded online. So if you need it, I can show it to you or send it how we can use this benefit. Also, sometimes it's easier even to implement than point and click because we are more flexible and have more possibilities there. And one is more important, also a feature from my understanding, that Apex code and triggers, they are more protected from direct change in production because you need to deploy and you need unit test coverage. It's lower chance that you will break a system because you will have to prepare your deployment. And with the flow, you will just be able to go to production and just do the direct change. It's easier, it's great, but it can have a lot of consequences, and you can break system at the end. So this is really good. And let's go to the next slide. So what fits in Flow and what fits in Apex? So I tried to make some comparisons so you can see like a syn work and sick work and just split it, like what is the best solution for that. So for example, if you have a sick work that is not really good for Flow, but it's really good for Apex. So for example, if you have high performance batch processing needs, it's definitely better to go with Apex because Apex is more flexible, it's and much better on a high volume data. Flow is not very good in processing big amount of data. Also, with highly sophisticated implementation logic, it's much better to go with Apex because same, you have much more freedom there. You can build really sophisticated logic with so many different approaches and like using OOP function like principles. So I will definitely go with Apex. And also, if you have a need to use custom validation errors, it's not available in Flow. So you will definitely go with Apex to meet these requirements. But what is good for Flow? It's a sync work. So if you want to update same record, like just like have a field updates on a before, it's definitely good to go with a Flow. You can also do scheduled action with specific delay. So if you need to send email or you need to update some data or create a task or I don't know, post a message somewhere, it's easy to do it with Flow and it's much less effort than to do it in Apex. So I will definitely go with the Flow here. So as you see, for Flow, it's good to have like scene work, like small things, like what is easier to develop, and it will take you less effort to maintain and just to keep it in the right place. Okay, let's go next. And I have here some record triggered flow considerations for you. So they are mostly for before save, because before save is really good, but it's still very limited, I would say. And first of all, you cannot perform actions other than updating the triggered records field values. So this means that you can only update same records that come into your flow. You cannot update related records or any other object. So you can just only do it with the ones that triggered the flow. And only like few elements are supported in before save flow. So it's assignment, it's decision, it's a get records and a loop. So if you have something more complicated, just be aware of this, that you have this limitation. Also, the view all data permission is required to activate an auto-launched flow that has a trigger. So this is also one more limitation. And one thing that I also find out that order is not guaranteed in case of multiple active before saving record trigger flows per object. So be aware if you created like few flows, you're not sure like which one on before will be like on a first like run. But there is also now possibility to have to set an orders, and that's really great feature, because even if you don't need like specific order of execution of your before or any other flow, I would I would configure it anyway, because for example right now you have only few flows, but in a few years you can have like 10 20 more, and it's really will be difficult to configure the right order. So I would configure the order from the beginning. You can I would also recommend to use like numbers like 10 20 30 for orders, because if you use 1 2 3 4, and in some point of time when you decide to put something in the middle, you will have to change order for all of them. But if you have numbers like 10 12 sorry 10 20 30, you can put in the middle like 15 25, and then it will be much easier for you to change order of execution and add something extra to it. So this is my consideration on record trigger flow, and it's mostly before save, so just be aware of it, because they are quite limited. Okay, let's go to limits now. And here is some general limits. So some of them is like about how many versions per flow. It's only 50, but it's still good because we can keep version control for 50 versions of the flow, and it's great. We also are limited on elements at runtime per flow. So it's really a big limitation, I would say, because like for one interview, or like for record trigger flow for one transaction, we can only have 2000 elements. And it means like you can have like assignments, loop, like decision, get records, like create records, only like 2000 elements. And if you have a loop and you go inside of a loop and you have inside of a loop few elements like assignment, decision, or any other, they calculate every time they go inside to the loop. And for each record, this element is calculated for this loop. So basically, it's very easy to achieve like and to reach this limit in 2000. So in like few hundred of records, you can just hit this limit, and that's why flow is like bad for bigger implementation or for high volume data. So here are also different limits like active flows, like total flows per flow type. You can see it. Also, there are some limitation on interviews, so you can see how many can be uh, like uh, like interviews at the same time. So it can be like on a pause or something like a scheduled. So be aware of these numbers, and just like know that there are some limits for flow too. And let's go to the next slide. So here I tried to show some comparison about record triggered flow and Apex trigger. So I would say for record trigger flow, like a good benefit that you don't need to have developer skills. So they are not required. So it's easier just to start your development without any skills than to do it in Apex. So it's still better to have those skills, because as I mentioned, like developing flow, you still need to have some understanding of how to use loops, how to use some data manipulations and other things. So you still need to have developer skills, but it's declarative tool. But in Apex, you need to have much more advanced skills, and it will be much more difficult to start with Apex than with a flow. Second thing, that flow is really faster and easier to deploy. So you can just like go and immediately like create that flow and start and use it. For Apex, you still need like to to create like classes. You need to deploy them, you need to build unit test, and all of this requires time, and it's sometimes a lot of time to finish all of this. And with flows, it's much easier. So let's go with flow when we have something easy to develop. What is bad about flows that they consume much more CPU limits than Apex Trigger. So you will not really feel it like on a small volumes, but if there's like bigger logic or something like that, it's goes and process much longer, because visualize also takes time, and it's a lot of like a lot of logic that the flow is going through, and flow is more complicated in runtime. So that's why Apex is much faster, and it consumes less CPU limit. It's what we discussed before, that flow is not very good for big data, and it has issues with processing of big data volumes. At the same time, Apex is doing it much better, and Apex Trigger it has higher limits here. So just be aware that if you have like bigger data, go with Apex Trigger then. Also, data manipulation is a bit limited in Flow, so sometimes you cannot really have nice lists like a sets or map of data in Flow. You cannot really create your specific data type, and you can do it easily in Apex. We can have set map, you can use wrapper class and other data manipulations that really helps to avoid like extra development and just like make it easier. Also, very good things that Apex can be run on before delete and after delete undelete. It's not available in Flow yet, so it's really big advantage of Apex Trigger. And for flows that we have limited limits on elements, so it's the most important limits that I face it in flows for now. Okay, so here is my comparison. Let me know if you have more ideas, and I would like to hear feedback about this one. Okay, let's go next. So what is next? Next is a demo time. So I have like small demos that I want just to show you ideas of flow. It's not an advanced level. It's just like to show you a flow on before, like some like how the debugger looks and other things. So let's try and jump into Salesforce and see what we have there. Okay, so now we are in a Salesforce, and let's go to flow. Okay. So we have a couple flows here, so I will deactivate one, and I will just go inside and will show you what we have there. So basically it's, now let's create a new one. Once again. So let's create a new flow. So here we will have a choice like of flow types. So we are talking about record trigger flow, so we need this one, and then click create. Now we have to choose what objects do we want to use. So let's use opportunity. And when do you want to call this? So we want it to start on like on a before, created or updated. So what condition requirements do we want? And we will just want to run it when amount is greater than 10,000, for example. And based on that, we want to do a fast field update. So this means we want to update same record just before it was committed to database. So we will not do DML operation again. So let's click here and only when record is updated to meet the condition requirement. So we only run when the value amount was changed. So now we want to create some assignment. So we want to update same record. So we see like a record opportunity was that is starting our process, and we want just to update priority of this opportunity. If it has 10,000, that means it's very high priority opportunity for us, and we want to keep an eye on it. So then let's say we want set high priority, and let's add done. So basically, it's very simple one. It's just an assignment, but if you want to add more like different assignments, we can add here different criteria or remove this one. We can add more like decisions, that we have different decisions and we start it on different places and go on different paths. But for now, just for a simple demo, I just want to show you how it looks. And here you can also save it. So let's save it. Set high priority on up or, and let's save it. So here you see it's saved, so we need to activate it. Also, we want to see what is debug here. So as you see here, we can choose different criteria when to run it. So right now we are on created, but we can also test it on updated. So here we can use different opportunity when to run it. So for example, if we want to skip conditions, we can skip it, but let's keep it like this. And you see here, you see the record, who started it. You see what API of that flow is. So we see like a start date, we see amount, and the amount is greater than 10,000. And we see assignment, so the result that it was assigned to high. And then you see it was like we don't have rollback, but it's so easy to run it here. But we can also run it under different user if we need, but this should be activated in our org, so it's not activated here, but it's easy just to do it, and just like need to activate it. So now let's go and create one real record, and let's go to opportunity now and see how it works. So here we need to go to opportunity, and let's click new, create like CRM Stage demo. So here we just need to add some close date. We just need to add any stage, and we want to put amount like 15,000 to check if our priority will be updated. Okay, it's created now, and you see it was automatically populated to priority high. So user didn't do nothing. We just like put our amount 15,000, and system on background just updated before commit to database. So it's only one commit, one DML operation, and it was just like easy to update that value. So it's a simple example, but it's just nice to understand how before record trigger flow works and how to use it. So hope it makes sense and you understand for future requests and challenges, and you will definitely go with this approach. So right now, let's go and use one more example. So let's go back to flows. And let's create now one more flow, but for after update. So let's choose same record trigger flow here, create, and here we will use same object opportunity, but we will now run just on update. What is conditional requirements? Let's put like our stage is equal to value proposition, for example. And we only want to run it when this specific value was changed. So we put when updated to meet condition requirement. And here we now choose action and related records. So let's click done. So right now we have empty record trigger flow, which run is immediately. But for this example, let's use scheduled pass. So let's add scheduled pass optional here. And let's call it like, I don't know, let's call it send email on value proposition stage. And for time, let's see, let's depend on when it was updated. On offset, you have like how like a number. It will be like how many minutes, hours you want to put, and options. It will be if it's before or if it's after, if it's like minutes, hours, days, months. So we will just put a few minutes after. Let's put like 5, for example. So our email is going to be sent on 5 minutes after it was updated to this stage. So now here you see we have two different passes. We have run immediately, and we have our delayed pass. So here we can put it, for example, just send email. You see we have some pre-built actions here, and let's just use send email. We can just update records. We can do like some creation of tasks, but I pre-built email alert for us. So we have our opportunity value proposition email alert. So if I go and quickly show it to you, email alerts. So you see here we have our alert. So it use our template send opportunity value proposition. If you open this one, you see just send email to recipient with some opportunity information. So now if we go back to flow, so we create this action, send email to community. Sorry, community contact. Okay, and it will be just run on this record. So we need to put our record and put ID here. So now we just click save, and we have our email action that will be delayed on 5 minutes. So we can click save and just activate this flow. So let's call it send auto value proposition just click save, and we can activate it. What is really think about a record scheduled pass, that there's a big limitation there, that when we have both run immediately and like delayed one, so it's like a different interviews and it's different transaction. So but the thing is, like when we use same variables, same data, sometimes we cannot use it in our scheduled pass because our variables will be null on moment when we run our scheduled pass interview. And this is really bad because sometimes we need data that we process it in immediately action. but for some reason we cannot use during scaled pass. So this is like one thing that need to think about when using this approach. For this example, we don't have any dependency and we can easily just use it. So it's activated now and we can try to test it out. So let's go and change our status to value proposition. And now we hope that our email will be sent out. So we put 5 minutes. I'm not gonna wait it, but I will try to see if it comes later. So these two small examples show how to use before and after record trigger flow. So it can be much more complicated, but the good thing is that we have pre-built elements and components that we can use there. We can also call Apex from this flow. So it's really good that we have some challenges that is not possible to do in Apex, not to do in flow. We can do it in Apex instead. So let's go and do a summary now. So record trigger flow, it's a really powerful tool, and I would say it's nice addition to declarative automation. But I still will say that it's a lot of challenges that are just not possible to achieve in flow. And it's just good to know that you have two tools. So Apex trigger can handle everything compared to flow, but that doesn't mean that we have to use Apex only. So if we have challenges that are easier, so why would we use Apex trigger? Let's do it in flow. And if we have something that is not suitable for flow, we will just go and use Apex in that time. So it's just great to know about these two tools and to see which one is better to use in which situation. So in my summary, um, so I will say, like, in case we have multiple tools available for same use case, it's recommended to choose the tools that will allow you to implement and maintain the use case with lowest cost and effort for future maintenance as well. So just take this into consideration when you start development. What's your future plans? Will you try to extend this functionality, or will it keep like this? And always try to be thankful about future, because sometimes you start with small and then it grow, and it's become in a big mess. So hope you understand now, like a bit, comparison of these two tools. And if you have any question, you can post them in chat. I will be available like 1 or 2 hours after the session. So just put them, and I'll be happy to answer all of them. And yeah, thank you for being today. I will also like to share some useful link. So first of all, I like Salesforce Developer Guide. It's for architect website, and it's a great article about record trigger flow there. So definitely check it out. And I would also recommend definitely to use Trailhead. It's always good to have some badges and just like to interact with flow. So yes, that's it. It was great to be here today with you all. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed conference and session till now, and wish you a great day. Thank you, and we will stay in touch. Thanks. Bye-bye.